Subramanian Swamy.
Mr. Deputy Chairman, I'll begin by pointing out that हिंदी में सारा देश इस टेलीविजन से सुन रही है, तो तमिलनाडु के लोग मुझ पर गुस्सा हो जाएंगे। मैं हिंदी में बोल रहा हूँ। वो यार ठीक है, वो धीरे धीरे आएगा, बट अभी मैं अंग्रेजी में बोलूँगा। और भूपेंद्र यादव ने हिंदी में बोल लिया, अब मेरी बारी है उसको बैलेंस करने के लिए अंग्रेजी में बोलने के लिए। I will begin, Deputy Chairman, by pointing out that on one occasion earlier last week, you had expunged my statement in which I tried to quote the letter of Christian Michel. Today I found to my surprise that the honorable member from the Trinamool Congress quoted that letter. It's on record now. And my good friend Abhishek Singhvi, he also quoted from another letter written by Mr. Hashke. So those letters, please, if I mention it, don't treat me separately and expunge it, because now it is part of the record. Having said that,
We want a smooth debate.
Yes, you have. It means that if I quote that letter, it will be unsmooth. Yeah, the rule has to be the same for everybody.
You know.
Yeah, I know it.
See, what is important is that the discussion should take place.
I know that,
and
but there is no law that I can't quote a letter, but other members can quote the same letter. Yeah. Now, I had the benefit of listening to other members. And I have noted some of the points, but I will begin by saying that Mr. Singhvi's reply was the usual one that I hear in courts from him. And recently, after arguing against me, he lost in the High Court and then against in the Supreme Court. And I hope to defeat him again in the Patiala Court very soon. But I'm saying that this has got nothing to do with vendetta. This has got nothing to do with the imagination on which we make these allegations. We are at an early stage of prosecution, that is, it's in fact in the investigative stage, and therefore I would like to make three things very clear. First is, what are the admitted facts, which they cannot deny also. And then out of that, those admitted facts, what is the criminality? And finally, the third part would be, how do we proceed now on the basis of what we know, where I'll make some suggestions to the government. So first of all, I'd like to say that the facts, admitted facts, are in Parliament questions, answers to Parliament questions. The CAG report laid on the table of the House in 2013, August 13, 2013. The Italian High Court, equivalent of Italian High Court judgment. These are admitted facts. And I'll begin first by saying that, yes, it is true that the NDA had initiated the process for buying 8 new helicopters to replace 6 old helicopters which were purchased in 1988. But the objective was that VVIPs should be able to fly to those remote areas such as Siachen or Northeast, and therefore ought to fly at heights above 6,000 meters and should be out of the range of shoulder rockets. So in Siachen, there are shoulder rocket people in the other side of the border, or whatever it's called, the line of control. And therefore, the helicopter should not be shot down by a shoulder rocket. So it had to be sufficient height, and therefore the Air Force was of the view that it should be at least 6,000 meters. Now, that was lowered because it was found that this present choice that we have made of AgustaWestland, it cannot fly beyond 4,500 meters. The question was raised, who lowered it? And they quoted Brijesh Mishra, who was a civil servant in the NDA government. And of course, he was decorated by them. They gave him Padma Vibhushan, one less than Bharat Ratna. I was just wondering, what is this service that required him to be given such a high honor? One day I will discover it. But he had nothing to do with it, because I am quoting admitted fact of a question in Parliament, which was filed by Srimati Kusum Rai. I don't know whether she's still a member.
No.
And Mr. Prabhat Jha, is he here? Yeah. So they filed the question as an unstarred question number 654, answered on 11/12/2013 by the honorable member here, a former defense minister. The question asked was whether Indian Air Force in January 2004 had emphasized that the altitude requirement of VVIP helicopters be kept at 6,000 meters as an inescapable necessity, and if so, the details thereof. And Mr. Anthony replies, yes, sir. However, in the contract signed with AgustaWestland on February 8, 2010 for procurement of 12 VVIP helicopters, the technical requirements specified in the request for proposal that was issued on 27th September 2006 were formulated after detailed discussion amongst all stakeholders and per stipulated guidelines. It's now an admitted fact that the people who lowered the height was not the NDA, as they made the allegation. It's a question, answer to a question. What is it that you want to know? 2004, the Air Force has taken a stand. It is an inescapable necessity, 6,000 meters. And Mr. Anthony says, yes, that is what the Air Force had said. But because of 2006, September 27th RFP, we changed it after due consultation. Whether they did it for meritorious reason or another matter. But the fact is that it is a lie to say that the NDA government was the one that changed the specification of the height. Now we come to the what? A lie, yes. So, terminological inexactitude. That's the correct parliament word. Now I come to the second question. Here and there they have said, but they didn't say it here, but I think I should reply, that many state governments of the NDA purchased this aircraft, that is a helicopter. Well, when you fly helicopters in Chhattisgarh, or you fly it in Maharashtra, there is no problem of shoulder rockets and an enemy across the border. And therefore, it is its ability not to be able to fly above 4,500 is not a constraint. So there was no blacklisting. The blacklisting is now being initiated, and you have a motion for breach of privilege of the leader of the opposition, who claimed that his government had blacklisted and we had withdrawn it. It is absolutely untrue. I've given you documentation. You will, I'm sure, very expeditiously decide on this issue. But the fact of the matter is that state governments purchasing, there was no blacklisting. There was no ban in purchasing it. As far as the questions come, the issue will arise that some bribe was given. Those people who gave the bribes are now in jail, and therefore whether we should give up our right to receive the spares and other things that we bought. And therefore the process has to go now after the High Court judgment, the process of banning the company is being worked out. I'm sure the defense minister, if he had been given the chance to say everything in the very beginning, much of the debate would have been much more enlightened. Now, what had happened was, at the NDA period, that after these strict restrictions, only one helicopter survived. That was the Euro helicopter number 225 became eligible. The NDA took the point that if it's a single vendor, then there will be questions raised. So let's see whether within the framework we can work out in such a way that more vendors can be brought in. They also, the NDA government noted that the SPG had not been consulted. After all, this helicopter was for the VVIPs, so SPG should be consulted. And so, therefore, with these two additional points, let's see if you can have more than one vendor, and B, have the SPG consulted. All that the NDA had said, and nothing else was there. There were no directions on changing any other restrictions. Now, what happened? Once the questions, once the UPA came to power, there were a lot of changes that were brought in. UPA took office in 2004, and the Ministry of Defense went beyond these two aims. That is, try and get more than one vendor, and two, see that the SPG is consulted. Well, certainly the SPG was consulted, but now they added additional parameters, which ultimately made it clear that only one aircraft, one helicopter would qualify, and that is the AgustaWestland. This is described in great detail, which I'm not going to read, in the CAG report laid in the House, on the table of this House. All these are there. But some of them I will bring out because they are stark. And it shows that there was a mens rea, so to speak, an intention to create a situation where you only buy AgustaWestland. One change of parameter was clearly malified. Every helicopter, except one helicopter, has this, what is called as the cabin height of 1.45 meters or less. क्यों? तुम्हें पानी पिलाया नहीं अभी तक?
नहीं, पानी पिलाओ इनको.
So, पिला लूँगा आपको पानी. आपके नए मेंबर्स को थोड़ा रोकिए. हाँ, नहीं तो पानी में डूब मर जाएंगे. इसी प्रकार से बात चलेगी तो. अब the question therefore.
Let him speak.
The international norm for cabin height is 1.45 meters. So you have to bend a little. Most Indians are not above 1.7. So therefore, most countries also, the average height is less than 1.7 meters. So therefore 1.45 was widely used, because it has a great structural effect on the helicopter if you have a large size cabin height. But the parameter of 1.45 meters was changed by the new UPA government to 1.80 meters. And in the whole, yeah, for they must be very tall. Yeah, maybe Ghulam Nabi Azad must have been thought of as the VIP, will use it most often. I don't know. The issue is that there is no other helicopter produced in the world which has 1.80 meters or above. That means you had already started the process to see everybody else is eliminated, and only one particular helicopter is purchased. this my opinion, is in fact a clear case of mens rea and something on which they can be prosecuted. Of course, under section 13, bracket 1, bracket D, part 3, the ministers and the civil servants who agreed to this can be prosecuted of the Prevention of Corruption Act. And so I would advise the government that those who are responsible, don't worry, I'll come to you also.
Please allow him to speak. Please listen to him. And then you can respond after listening to him.
Finding their facts are undigestible, that's the problem. Now, it's other changes also. One is that the field trials should be on the aircraft you are using. They say, no, in many aircrafts we have done field trials abroad. I'm not on that. But the aircraft that you are buying, that same aircraft has to be subject to field trials. They did not use the AW101 aircraft which they bought for field trials. They used another helicopter, which is another fraud committed on the people of India.
Shame.
Of course, they chose to have the field trials in Italy, and Italy is a nice place, of course, and therefore I have no objection to their doing the field trials in Italy. But why did you have the testing done by another helicopter and say that the AW101 has now passed the field trials? That is a fraud, and they are prosecutable under section 420 of the IPC.
Shame.
The third corrupt act. The third corrupt act. The original proposal was to buy 8 helicopters. Now, suddenly, after it became clear that Augusta is the only one that's going to qualify, they decided to buy 4 more. And the CIG says already the present 8 which was being used, that MI-8 or whatever, which was bought in 1988, was hardly utilized. In fact, the average utilization was 29% only. What was the need for this additional 4? Who were you thinking? Which was the VVIP? Extra VVIP. Who you wanted to be given exclusive use so that it is always available perhaps in the backyard. Therefore, for this, the government spent an additional amount of 1,200 crores. Now, when price negotiation started, there is what is called as a benchmark estimate. Usually you ask the Air Force to give you a benchmark estimate. And the Air Force in January 2006 quoted the benchmark for this whole deal as 793 crores. That's the estimated cost, and then you could add plus minus a few things for other service charges. And this was approved by Mr. Antony as Minister of Defense. But on September 2008, the committee, which was called the Contract Negotiation Committee, arbitrarily fixed, rejecting the 793 number, and fixed 4877.5 crores as the deal, which is 6 times more than what the Air Force decided.
Shame. Shame.
And this is there in the CAG report. It's an admitted fact. 4,877.5 crores when the Air Force said 793 crores, and Mr. Anthony, as Minister of Defense, had put his signature on it in the Defense Ministry. Which was that authority above Mr. Anthony who overruled him? From my personal knowledge, I will say it was not Dr. Manmohan Singh. He won't do any such thing. Now, thereafter, this is the interesting part. The Contract Negotiation Committee says, this is our benchmark number, and you make a proposal, and then we'll negotiate. So then the AgustaWestland says, but we don't want so much, we only want 3,966 crores. So there's no negotiation, deal completed without any hassle. This is another Prevention of Corruption Act violation under section 13(1)(d). Now we come to the criminality. Mr. Deputy Chairman, it is very well known that corruption has taken place in this matter. Mr. Sharad Yadav may be living in another world. He has not read the statement of Mr. Anthony, where he said on March 25th, 2013, yes, corruption has taken place in the helicopter deal and bribes have been taken. He's sitting here. I don't think he will deny it. He said this to the press. He has said this privately to many people. Now, we have this, that there was bribe taken. Now, it can't be just one person in the Air Force. He cannot do this alone. And the Italian High Court judgment says that there were servicemen, there were bureaucrats, and there were politicians. They gave some names. In some of the parts of the judgment, they have given the full name. But in one note written by one of the middlemen, it is in AP or etc., etc. Now, Mr. Singhvi, taking advantage of the fact that most of us here are not lawyers, quoted the judgment of the Hawala, which he said that it was rejected, Mr. Advani was freed, Mr. Sharad Yadav was freed, everybody was freed. And then he said, no, no, this is no. He should read the whole judgment again or read the judgment fully here. The Evidence Act makes it very clear that if, while the conspiracy is being executed, these are prima facie evidence for prosecution. And therefore, what happened in the Hawala matter is after everything had been executed, then this fact was discovered. It could not be used as evidence in the final trial when the charges have been framed. There is a distinction. Today, on the basis of AP and my suspecting, you know who, the CBI can go and interrogate him. All the names mentioned there, including the allegation that the Prime Minister of India, then Prime Minister of India, was contacted or was not contacted, that only interrogation can tell us, or what we call as recording of the evidence witness under 156 CRPC. What it says is that a plea was made to somebody in high place in Italy to make the Prime Minister of Italy contact our Prime Minister, of whom I have great regard. I know that personally he will do nothing wrong, but he takes orders very easily. That's his major minus point. Now, I would say that because his name appears so specifically, and the judge says that after that we never got any documents except a CAG report and the contract that was signed between the two countries, or the helicopter company and the Ministry of Defense. That's all we received. So we need to ask Mr. Manmohan Singh whether you had decided not to give any documents to the Italian government even despite their request. If so, did you make the decision yourself? Was it a cabinet decision, or it was a super cabinet decision, or somewhere else you got the orders from? He has to make it clear. And I would say, quoting the letter of Christian Michel. The person named there should also be interrogated, in my opinion, interrogated first, because it says that that person was the driving force behind this deal. That person was not a military person. That person has no qualification to talk about military technologies. And if she is the driving force, the CBI has a right to speak to her and say, what do you know about this case under 156 CRPC? Now, the criminality has been established because the total commission is roughly 250 crores. There's a pie chart given in the judgment. It says how it was distributed. So what I would say, Mr. Deputy Chairman, is that the facts, unadmitted facts, and admitted facts, and
ठीक है, जो और स्पीकर्स हैं उनको हम विड्रॉ करते हैं। पार्टी का भी टाइम खत्म हो गया, ये ध्यान रखिएगा। आपकी पार्टी का भी टाइम खत्म हो गया, इसलिए बोलने दीजिए। हम अपनी पार्टी के सारे मेंबर्स को विड्रॉ करते हैं जो और बोलने वाले हैं।
On page 225.
सर, इनकी मेडन स्पीच है। मेडन स्पीच पे इतने सीनियर मेंबर्स की मेडन स्पीच पे नहीं रोका जाता सर।
If it is maiden speech is only 20 minutes. Now you have spoken for. ठीक है। Conclude as early as possible, quickly. You made all your points. Now you can go.
No, I have many more, but I've got the party time now from our
No.
Parliamentary Affairs
Party
Minister.
time is over.
How much more?
Look at the board. Subramanian Swamy, please see the display board. Party time balance is -5.
सर ये maiden speech है, maiden
And other party members' time also.
नहीं, बाकी नहीं। Time बाकी नहीं है।
There you are. Akali Dal is also giving me time.
But they have no time. Your party time is over.
All right, I'll conclude.
Now, please conclude.
But it will be a long conclusion, but I'll conclude.
Yeah, please conclude. Okay.
First of all, on page 225, please let it go on record. Please, page 225 details the High Court judgment of Italy, details the corruption lobbying by Italian company to get deals in India. Page 9 of the judgment reproduces the chart of commission sharing. That is solid evidence, prima facie, for the CBI to proceed ahead. If they are not cooperative, those people named, then there should be custodial interrogation, as I think Mr. Memon had suggested. It should have been done long time ago, that I agree, but that doesn't mean just because it wasn't done 2 years ago, it should be not done in the next 3 years. Next 3 years, I will also be there. I have filed private complaints, you see, and I have now developed expertise. I put Mr. Singhvi to grief in this. With this, my experience, I'm going to assist the government. So in the next 3 years, we will definitely find out all those who got the money, and we'll put them in the right places. Now, second evidence, prima facie. Second evidence, prima facie, is a handwritten note written by the main broker, Christian Michel. Is he connected with some people in this country, particularly in the Congress party when they were in power? Well, his father is well established. Those are documents which are available with the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate. His father was intimately connected. Many of the leading lights of that party went and stayed with him in London. And there is records of that. The High Commission in London has those records. Then there is a handwritten note written on commission sharing by middleman Goodyear Huskey. That is also prima facie evidence. As per the handwritten note, the total commission is 30 million euro, roughly 250 crores. According to this note, Air Force officials have been given 6 million euro, roughly 50 crores. Top bureaucrats in the Defense Ministry have been given 8.4 million euros, roughly 75 crores. And the last category his political leaders. It's written the money in total of 125 crores is being given to AP. Now, who is this AP? We'll have to find out. The judgment on, then these Italians must be crazy people to give it to somebody who has nothing to do with the UPA government. The judgment on page 193 to 2004 says, you please read that judgment. It names the AP. Who's that AP? By name it says the political secretary. Political secretary to whom I'll say, then you will expunge it, so I will not say it.
Please.
I'm not talking about you. Why are you doing?
Say political secretary.
So you name
What is political secretary?
I didn't know. I said he named it as the political secretary. Political secretary to whom? I didn't say political secretary to whom. Why is he getting so touchy about it? The photos of blank, blank, blank and blank, blank, blank were shown to Mr. Husky in the trial by the Italian prosecutors and said, who are these? And he named them AP and the other person, who cannot be named, otherwise you'll expunge it. These details are mentioned in pages 193 to 2004. Apart from these pages,
Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Please, sir.
Yes,
Sir, I am on a
Sharma.
point of order, sir.
Now, yes, point of order by Anand Sharma. Others sit down. Others sit down. Anand Sharma. I am allowing Anand Sharma. I am allowing Anand Sharma.
एक मिनट बैठ
I am allowing Anand Sharma.
बैठ जाइए बैठ
I have already allowed Anand Sharma. I already allowed Anand Sharma.
Sir, we have been discussing this matter and the discussion will continue. The rules have been observed, now they are being broken. Whatever
Which rule
is
is
being
broken?
read, please.
which rule has been broken?
If we can listen, have
For
the
my
patience.
information.
Please.
It should be authenticated. And at the same time, I am also demanding that all what has been quoted should be authenticated and tabled. Number two, the defense minister and the government, for the last few days what's going on outside the house, please table today authenticated certified copy scrutinized by your law department and the MOD here,
No,
not website, no website. You place
Only
it.
about this. Now, please. Now, please. Sit down. Sit down. Let me deal with that. Sit down. Let me deal with that. Sit down. Now, sit down. No point of order. Sit down. Sit down. No point of order. Sit down. I'm not allowing you. Sit down. I'm not allowing. Now listen, now please, Mr. Subramanian Swamy. Now
I'm concluding.
Yeah, now Mr. Subramanian Swamy. Okay. Now please. Yeah, you. It's only this. Now they are only.
I'm concluding.
Now, listen. They are only. Now please. I'll come to that.
You will have to resign.
No, please. Now, Mr. Subramanian Swamy, they are only demanding the right thing as per rules. Since you quoted, number one, you have to say what you are quoted from. Number two, you have to authenticate it and place on the table of the house. Do that.
I will.
You have to do that. Let's go. I told
ये
you.
तो तरीका ठीक नहीं है. You are instructed.
I already asked.
And he will explain what is going on. If you don't want to listen, this is.
I have already.
तो चोर की दाढ़ी में तिनका.
Please go back.
ये क्या तरीका है?
Please go back. See, I have already given the ruling and he has agreed. Now please, he has agreed whatever you have read, he will authenticate and place on the table. He has agreed to it, that's all. Proceed.
I am quoting.
Something I would like to bring to your kind notice.
Please.
these things have been already said by my valuable colleague, advocate on the other side, Sri Abhishek Singh Manu.
Correct.
Number one, as he has not authenticated. Please, bear
No,
with me.
please.
For a minute,
No,
be
please.
democratic. Just please.
No, please.
Please.
No, please.
Abhishek, Ahmad bhai, have some patience. Huh?
No, please.
After
No,
all,
please.
you have the numbers. Please. Secondly, it's very relevant. We are in a house. The entire country is watching us. The other day, my friend, leader of the opposition, has said that the Indian Prime Minister met Italian Prime Minister and he quoted a newspaper report. He did not authenticate.
There is a privileged version. No.
So, my request is, as Ahmad Bhai, as a member of the House, he has got every right to contradict or make his own this thing.
He will
so
be
let
allowed.
Swamy complete it and let him say what he wants to do. Instead of all these people standing and all. What is this?
No, but Swamiji has agreed. He is agreed to authenticate. Are you agreeing to authenticate? You are agreed. Mr. Swamy, he has agreed.
This is the violation of his constitutional rights.
Yes.
You just speak, sir.
Let it.
Sir, he has taken the name of honorable member of parliament. So he should be allowed to speak. Number one. And number two, he shall have to authenticate.
Yes.
And what honorable parliamentary
I have
chairperson
already
said,
given the ruling.
I also quoted somebody. And he has given a privileged motion. So he is quoting the same person.
Please.
He will have to face again the privilege.
No, please. Please. No, please.
You answer your privilege motion.
He is not taken any name. Only Abhishek Singhvi is taken name.
Who is he quoting?
No, please.
Who is he quoting?
I quoted after
And who is the journalist?
I quoted after you.
There need not be any dispute.
I quoted the judgment. I quoted the judgment. Which Mr. Singhvi quoted.
Please listen. Now, please
Mr.
listen.
Singhvi quoted.
Swamiji,
Let him say.
Swamiji, listen. Please listen, Mr. Swamy. Now the point is, with regards to the issue raised by Venkaiah ji, already a privileged motion is there against LOP that is under consideration. But see, what has been read has been objected by you. You mentioned the name of honorable member here specifically.
What do you mean?
It is obvious.
No. Please say.
I will go through it. I don't want dispute. Fine.
He never
Okay. All right.
Only Congress member quoted.
All right.
He never quoted any name, sir.
Okay. No dispute. But anyhow,
That time we know no objection.
anyhow, I have given the ruling. You should authenticate. Do that. That's all. Okay. Proceed. Now conclude.
He is not quoted any name.
Please conclude now. Please conclude. Okay. Please conclude now. Please conclude.
Now,
Your party has no time. You have taken extra 14 minutes. Please conclude. Please conclude. No, it's all. No need. He will explain. I will give him time. I will give him time. Please sit down.
कैसा बोलूँगा भाई? ये वो ठीक है. So I am. No. What 30 seconds? He quoted the judgment. Please see the text. That's all. Main judgment. I quoted from the judgment.
You can
I'm quoting from judgment.
Not quoting from the
You
judgment.
quoted.
After he completes, you can say, Baba, after he completes, he can say that. Yes, I already said to authenticate and place. Sit down. Okay. Yeah, I told him to say that.
Judgment.
I already said that.
The judgment. Let him do first. Let Manu Singhvi do. Let Manu Singhvi put the judgment first.
See, Ramesh, I have already decided. See, Ramesh, I have already given the rulings. Why do you ask it? I have already given the ruling that he should say, I have already said he should say what he is quoting from. Number two, I also said that he should authenticate. Then why he has to do that? Proceed. Sit down.
No,
Arey,
he's
sit down.
speaking. The chairman himself is speaking.
Sit down, sit down. He will do that once it is my ruling. Baba, sit down. There is a procedure.
Let the chair decide.
That is a procedure.
Let the chair
No,
decide.
no, no. Yeah, please.
Ramesh ji, let the chair decide. Let
No,
the
sit
chair
down.
decide.
That he will do.
Let the chair decide. Leave it to the chair.
Can I speak on the chairman?
Leave it to the chair. Please leave it to the chair.
Jairam Ramesh, no, sit down.
This cannot be one-sided.
Jairam Ramesh, sit down.
Chairman,
Jairam
sir,
Ramesh, sit down.
this cannot be, this privilege cannot
It
be
can be
one-sided.
done.
You ordered it.
No, he's-
Asking me to authenticate it.
He's- now, please.
Ask Ghulam Nabi
He
Azad
said-
to authenticate it. I'll quote from his letter.
Jairam Ramesh, see, the member has accepted that he will agree that he will authenticate and place. Then why do you create a problem? He will do that after his speech.
I will now quote from Christian Michel's letter quoted by the learned leader of the opposition. Namely, March 15, 2008, the letter seized by the Italian investigators shows that the main middleman, Christian Michel, who's still a fugitive, writes to Peter Hewlett, then India's sales head of the chopper company, that Sonia is the main driving force behind this deal and she will no longer fly in the existing Mi-8 choppers. The letter verbatim quoted in the judgment of the Italian High Court details lobbying and corruption of Congress leadership and then says that the British High Commissioner in India should target top Congress leadership for clinching the deal. Dear Peter, since Mrs. Gandhi is the driving force behind the VIP planes, she will no longer fly in Mi-8. Mrs. Gandhi and her closest advisors are people who the British ambassador should target.
What are you quoting? What are you quoting?
Is it a letter he quoted? He quoted the letter. He quoted Christian Michel.
So this shows that the entire thing is fraud. Mrs. Gandhi has no...
Okay, you authenticate. You authenticate and praise
helicopter. So that means this is an entire business on the basis on the fraud.
You have to authenticate and praise.
She cannot use the helicopter. How can she use?
He quoted Christian Michel. I am quoting Christian Michel.
Okay.
Continuation of that letter.
Okay.
All right. Now, on...
No, Swamy, are you agreeing to authenticate and place it on the table of the House?
If Mr. Singhvi authenticates, I will authenticate.
No, that I have not given. That is over.
Standards.
No, please. No, please. Arey, please. Please sit down. Arey, Baba. Sit down. No, please sit down. Sit down, please. Now, Mr. Swamy. Now, please. Oh, these people are... What are you doing? Mr. Swamy. You don't want me to do anything. Sit down. Mr. Swamy.
Singhvi quoted.
Now, please, Mr. Swamy.
Ask him to
Mr. Swamy,
authenticate it.
please. Now, listen to me. No, I will.
Stand up and the others are
Yeah,
standing.
sit down.
Back them, sit down and then
Sit down.
please do it.
Sit down, please. Mr. Swamy. No, Mr. Swamy, please. No, sit down.
What is this upside, Ramesh? Not fair.
sit down.
You are a senior member. Don't
Sit
be
down.
like this. There is a,
You sit down. I will deal with that.
Sir, Subramanian. Sir, leader of the
Then you come and deal
opposition.
with it.
Leader of the opposition.
Okay. One of you come and deal. I
Ramesh
can't
ji,
do that.
have confidence. Leader of the opposition.
Ramesh, sit down.
Leader of the opposition will say something. Hear him after this.
Now, please.
Then Swamy concludes.
Now,
Then
please.
afterwards,
Sit down.
leader of the opposition.
Sit down. Ramesh. You sit down. What are you doing? Now, see. Now, Mr. Swamy, please listen to me. Now, please listen to me. You please listen to me. The question is this. See. You come on.
You want me to
All
say?
right, you people come. It's very... See, Mr. Swamy, the question is this. See, you are saying that you are quoting from the same letter asked, Sri Ghulam Nabi has asked the other day.
The name,
let
the
me
person
say,
he named.
if at that time, if at that time somebody has raised objection, I would have certainly intervened. I would have certainly asked to authenticate it. Then listen, at that time, nobody intervened, nobody asked, so I could not do. Now, I cannot act retrospectively and say that yesterday you should do that. That cannot be done. Now, please, but now, please, you can't do. Now, the question is, you read some letter, you quoted, you said it is from such and such letter. Now, see, then the issue was raised here in the House itself that as per procedure, as per the rule, if a member, that is the rule of the rule book, it is there. As per the procedure, as per the rule, if a member is quoted from a letter or from any document, and if it is raised, he has to, if the chair asks, he has to authenticate and place it on the table of the House. You cannot, Subramanian Swamy, you listen, you cannot hide under the pretext that yesterday it was not done. That is, yesterday, if it was, no, let me complete, yes, if yesterday, no, let me complete, please, if yesterday it was raised, I would have certainly intervened. Now it is raised, I have to intervene and enforce the rule. So, you authenticate and place. You agree? Are you agreeing?
I quoted from the judgment and Singhvi quoted from the judgment.
Are you agreeing?
Do not ask
Are
him
you
to
agreeing?
authenticate.
No. Are you agreeing? Otherwise, I will not allow you.
Can't we have an orderly debate?
Subramanian Swamy.
Chairman, sir, please.
Yeah,
1 minute.
please.
Please.
That is not an issue, leave it.
Please.
That is not the issue, Baba.
No, we can have an orderly debate.
Why are you trying to
You
control?
can argue also.
That is not the issue.
You can argue also.
That is not the
Let
issue.
there be orderly debate. Let him complete.
Two things. No, you can speak. There are two things. When the other day I quoted something, number one, nobody took any
That I already
objection.
told.
No. Another thing, sir, you missed. You missed out another thing. The Honorable of the Leader of the House, Mr. Arun Jaitley, was present. He very respectfully, honorably got up and replied to me, to my query, whatever I have said. So he didn't make an objection. Had he any objection, he would have not got up and replied to my query or question. So that was closed. Number two, whatever Honorable Minister, our member has said, he is ready to authenticate. So similarly, let him authenticate.
If he authenticates, I will authenticate.
No.
Sir, I'm going to read. I'm not saying, sir, Tapanji.
I have given the ruling.
Tapanji.
Either he or he.
Yes, I have given the ruling.
After the ruling is given,
I have given the ruling.
I agree, sir. Once the chair...
I have given the ruling.
Once the chair has given a ruling, there cannot be any further commentary. What I am submitting as a Minister of Parliamentary Affairs is members who have quoted from other texts today, not that day. My honorable friend Sri Abhishek Singh Manu has quoted something, and Swamy has quoted something. Your chair's ruling applies to both.
Both, yes. Oh, yes. No. Now, only now you raised, it applies to him also. No problem. Yeah. Now,
conclude now.
Now, see, listen. If only you authenticate and place here, I allow you, otherwise you cannot speak. That is my ruling. You do that. You agree to that? Both? Yes.
If you do this.
Both? Yes. Both. Are you agreeing? Are you agreeing?
Agree to what? Agree to what?
Authenticate and place on the table. Authenticate and place on the table. Authenticate. See.
If he authenticates, I'll authenticate.
Yeah, he is doing it. He is doing it. Now listen. Now please listen.
Yes.
What I said is,
authenticate.
number one, you read from a document. You have to, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, you use the mic if you can't hear.
I don't need the mic.
You can hear. Now please, number one.
Tell them to keep
Now
quiet.
please,
and hear
number
you.
one, you have to say what document you have quoted. Number two, you have to authenticate it. Number three, place on the table. That he is doing, you have also to do.
I will authenticate.
And place on the table.
I will authenticate because I'll give the whole judgment so that I can quote it in future. He is only giving one page.
Yeah.
He authenticate. He's just writing.
Yeah, do that.
I hereby authenticate. That's not authenticate.
Yeah, you do that. That's enough.
That's enough.
That is enough.
I will write saying that yes.
Okay, do that.
Authenticate
and place.
I will write.
Do that.
All right. I will now conclude.
Yeah.
And then I will go down there and authenticate.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't authenticate, whatever you say after this will be expensed.
You cannot go out of the rules. Let me say.
Yeah. Do that.
I will say. I have already told you I am going to authenticate.
Do that.
You don't have to tell me.
Do that. Do that.
First, let me complete. Then I will tell you.
Okay.
I'll come down there and authenticate.
Yeah. Do that.
Okay.
Do that. No, please. Now nothing more. Sit down. No. It's over. Sit down. It is over. Sit down.
Why is he standing up?
It is over. Sit down. You please. Yeah.
Now, I will conclude.
Yes. Sit down. Now, please.
So, sir, concluding, I had given a copy of an agreement to you, I mean to the Secretary General who must have given it to you, where Mr. Christian Michel was given 6 million euros to manage the media in India in favor of the deal.
Please.
Please
listen. Yeah.
Now, I wanted the government to go into this question as to who those journalists or newspapers are, which have been consistently writing disinformation about those who oppose the deal and then praise the deal. Those are easy to see. Those articles are available in print. And therefore, the visual media. This is a very important part of the corruption in our country, that the public is misled by false news that keeps coming. This is called paid news. And there is a standing committee report which was placed in this house, which gives a great detail of it, and the press council has also been worried. This is also a cancer part of the corruption in the country, and therefore I would like the government to go into this matter, and now I will authenticate.
Okay, thank you very much.